Hello there, welcome back. Today we're going to watch what is probably one of the most underrated movies ever made, A Bug's Life. This movie is so good. It has amazing characters, great music, and it teaches us some valuable lessons about courage and working together. So let's get started. But first, like the video, if you haven't done it already, because liking the video always helps us grow. And without further ado, let's get to the episode. On a lush island meadow full of blooming flowers and gurgling streams lived a hardworking colony of ants. Every year, these industrious insects spent the summer gathering food for the long, cold winter ahead. But every autumn, their hard work was stolen by a ruthless gang of grasshoppers. Led by the menacing Hopper, the grasshoppers would swoop down on the ants' annual harvest and take it for themselves. The ants were left to scavenge for food, and the hoppers thrived. Over time, the ants had come to accept their fate and lived in constant fear of the hoppers. They worked tirelessly from spring to fall, gathering food for the hoppers as tribute. Any extra food gathered by the ants meant that they got to keep it. And if they brought less than what was demanded, the hoppers took everything and left the ants to starve. Deep within the anthill lived Flik, a kind-hearted yet clumsy young ant who loved his colony and wanted to help his friends. Unlike the other ants, Flik wasn't satisfied with simply obeying the hoppers and giving them everything they wanted. He believed there had to be a better way, so he spent his days tinkering in his workshop, inventing strange contraptions and gadgets he hoped would help make life better for the ants. Though well-meaning, Flik often caused more trouble than good. His clumsiness was legendary, and his inventions frequently ended up causing chaos and destruction. The other ants, exhausted from their endless labor, grew tired of Flik's antics. They felt he was wasting precious time that could be spent gathering food for the hoppers. One day, Flik was working on a device to help carry large loads of food when he accidentally knocked over a basket filled with berries. The berries rolled out of the anthill and into the meadow where a grasshopper spotted them. Soon, the entire gang was there feasting on the ants' hard-earned harvest. Enraged, Hopper confronted Flik, demanding to know why the ants hadn't brought the full tribute of food this year. Flik stammered, trying to explain his invention, but Hopper wasn't interested. He ordered the ants to gather twice as much food before the end of the summer or face the consequences. With Hopper looming over them, threatening to crush the colony if they failed, the ants fell into despair. Determined to make amends, Flik volunteered to leave the island and search for warrior bugs who could fight off the grasshoppers and protect the colony. His friends pleaded with him not to go, but Flik was adamant. Before leaving, he told them not to gather any more food for the hoppers and instead to wait for his return. With a knapsack full of gadgets and a heart full of hope, Flik set off into the unknown. As Flik traveled beyond the familiar meadows and hills of his home, he came across a vast, bustling city made entirely of bugs. Signs read, "Home of the circus bugs," and Flik assumed this must be where he could find the fierce warriors he needed to save his colony. He entered the city, eager to recruit the bravest bugs he could find. To his surprise, though, he found only performers of all shapes and sizes. There were ladybugs, rhinoceros beetles, stick insects, and more, but none seemed like the type to engage in battle. Despite this, Flik, desperate for help, approached a ladybug named Frances and asked her to join him in his quest. Frances and the other bugs were intrigued by Flik's tale, but they were also skeptical. They had never heard of warrior ants, and Flik's story sounded far-fetched. Nevertheless, Frances agreed to go with Flik to see what they could do. As they walked through the city, Flik saw acrobatic bugs leaping between buildings and others forming impressive marching bands. He marveled at the talent all around him, but couldn't shake the feeling that he was in the wrong place. Eventually, they came across a group of bugs practicing a skit. Among them were a plump caterpillar named Heimlich, a lanky stick insect called Slim, and a dim-witted rhinoceros beetle. Flik mistakenly identified them as ferocious warriors and recruited them for his mission. The bugs didn't correct him, though, because they too were tired of performing day in and day out and jumped at the chance for a change of pace. When the entire group returned to the anthill, the other ants were skeptical. But Flik insisted that he had found the bravest warriors and that they would soon drive the hoppers away. As night fell, Flik and his new friends addressed the colony. He explained that the warriors would protect them from the hoppers, and the bugs began showing off their supposed fighting skills. Of course, the ants were still unconvinced, but desperate for hope, they decided to pin their hopes on Flik's recruits. Meanwhile, Hopper and his gang were preparing for their annual feast. The hoppers descended on the anthill, ready to claim their hard-earned tribute. But suddenly, a giant mechanical bird made of sticks and leaves swooped down, scaring the hoppers away. The ants cheered, thinking the bird sent by Flik and the circus bugs would drive the hoppers away for good. But the celebration was short-lived. Hopper soon realized the bird was nothing more than a crude imitation of a real bird of prey. Furious, he vowed revenge and chased Flik into the forest. The circus bugs panicked, believing they had been tricked. They thought Flik had brought them to this dangerous place on purpose. Just when it seemed Flik might be captured, the rest of the circus bugs stood up for him. Francis encouraged everyone to work together and complete Flik's contraption. Working quickly, they finished the bird, making it even more realistic. When Hopper approached again, the bird moved and flew toward him. Terrified, Hopper fled into the nearby meadow. At that moment, the ants knew they could finally stand up to the grasshoppers. Thousands of them swarmed onto the meadow, driving Hopper and his gang away. But Hopper refused to give up. He chased Flik to the edge of the meadow, threatening to crush him. Just then, a real bird swooped down from the sky and grabbed Hopper in its beak. The other hoppers scattered as Flik watched Hopper disappear into the bird's nest. With the hoppers gone for good, the ants celebrated. They cheered for Flik, who had shown them that even the smallest bug can make a difference. The circus bugs were also celebrated as heroes. For their part in saving the colony, Heimlich managed to pin a flower to his rear end, becoming the most hilariously plump butterfly. The ants, no longer under the thumb of the grasshoppers, worked together to rebuild their colony. Flik's inventions were celebrated and used to make life easier for everyone. And the circus bugs continued to perform, now respected and appreciated for their talents. As the sun set over the meadow, Flik looked up at the sky, grateful for the bravery of his friends and the hope for a better future. And that's all for today. What did you think of the movie? Did you enjoy watching it? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any new videos. We'll see you next time with another amazing movie recap. Until then, stay tuned and keep watching.